Greetings, Sangha, and the world's family at large. Just to say a few words as that impromptu message on this very fine day of the Christmas Eve, when the whole world is celebrating yet another Christmas. I'm saying the whole world because this really is not just a celebration confined by those who live in the culture and civilization associated with the values that the Christmas celebration traditionally associated with. It's a truly global event, and there's no need to go into why that is. What I wanted to relate is perhaps something from a very personal place, perhaps backed up with some of my earliest memories when I have celebrated my very first Christmas. And that was already when I was in my early 20s, because growing up in Central Asia, in Uzbekistan, which was part of Soviet Union, there was no such thing as celebrating Christmas in the way that is celebrated in the world today. So my first so-called proper Christmas was actually in Poland, in Warsaw, where I was in the family of my then partner, with whom I share a daughter in Poland. And this was, I think, late 80s. I was still a student at the St. Petersburg's Academy of Fine Arts, and we went there just for that week, for a few days. And I remember that whole ambience, that whole atmosphere in the family setting, very small, in fact. It was very intimate. I was taken for a walk in the night city of Warsaw to the main square, to see the whole ambience of how it was and how people have celebrated. It was truly magical. Later on, already when living in London, of course, I've learned a great deal about the Christmas celebration, because Christmas in England is a big deal. Not just in England, in many other countries, particularly those that have that deep Christian, Catholic, even Protestant background. There's this very strong consensus to celebrate Christmas in a certain way. And it is truly a global, national celebration, as well as very, very deeply intimate occasion when families gather together. What I've also learned, that a certain love-hate relationship developed around this whole, what also could be called as Christmas bonanza, over the years, feeling, sensing and seeing that obvious commercialization of what it became to represent, desacralization of what Christmas really stands for. And of course, that prompted me as a 20-something to dive deeper into the real roots of what this time of the year truly is about, because ever since I remember myself as a kid, this time of the year, late December, going into the new year, according to the, let's say, even newer calendar that was adopted by most of the countries, it always coincided with this extraordinary sense of novelty, a true sense of magic, though the term itself kind of lost its flavor and value because it's been used for so many different meanings and in so many different ways. But if we are to restore that term, that value of something being truly mysterious, it was always there, in the air. So of course it's that time of transition that is associated with the winter solstice, when something is truly closing down, saying goodbye, dying, only to be reborn in the form of that rising star that birth of Jesus meant to represent, as that rising of consciousness, that what is deep within the heart of every being, in this case every human being, is a spark of awareness. And this is intricately linked to the very message of what Christmas meant to represent in its original message, with all that what unfolds. Of course, I'm not going to go into that whole theme of nativity and all that what Christian mysteries here stand for. To me, it became important to regain the sacred dimension. Personally, even though I wasn't born into a Christian family per se, I was living in the West, I was living in England, I was living in London. It was important for me to rediscover, regain that meaning. And I was given an opportunity because for a number of years, quite a few that is, I was alone during that time. Therefore, I always feel great affinity to all of you who are destined to celebrate or go through this festive season somehow, not within the setting of the family, but alone. And to me, it was truly precious time. Precious because it was the time to get in touch with the true meaning of that time, what it stands for, what it carries. Back then, still as a painter, it would be colored by that very, very tender moments of birthing something new. Usually new ideas, projects, themes to work on will be all springing forth in abundance, because this time is also associated with greater creativity as anything that is being reborn. And as the rebirth here of the new year symbolized again by that, let's say, Christian perspective, what Christ's birth carries here, as that renewed consciousness. Renewed because consciousness obviously is not subject to death and rebirth, but simply it's the act of renewal here, when the whole nature goes to sleep and these impulses of renewal, rekindling and reawakening begin to reverberate deep at the level maybe of still soil that is still asleep. At least that's the case in the Northern Hemisphere. So, of course, all creativity became that very fertile ground where one can find these traces and the grains and the essence of what the season stands for. So it was always accompanied by greater acuity towards discovering new music, as well as also reveling in some of the most favorable compositions of those whose names are almost on par with that what Christian civilization stands for. So this would be the time of re-listening the favorite arias from St. Matthew's Passions by Bach, Mozart's music, Haydn, and of course those piano compositions, single pieces of music, arias by Brahms and Haydn, and of course the modern music, of course, the pop music, the rock, the jazz, all would fill every little corner of my studio back then to reverberate with that festive season. So I wish all of you to rediscover the purpose, so as not to be swept away by this inevitable strong current that the collective hypnosis here also plays a tremendously important part, how it affects us. And we are here to connect, to touch, even tentatively during this time, what this Christmas is really about. Yes, of course, the fireworks, yes, the lights, the stars, the lit streets, the Christmas trees, all that. Yes, that is known as that. And of course, the list goes on, right? Christmas lunch, the cold turkey, the family gets together, the families get together, all that. And yet, it's a precious time to reconnect with the most sacred within ourselves and recognize that sacred with those who are immediately around us and share that. Even knowing that this time also wouldn't be without some frictions, perhaps some releases of stress, because this is what Christmas is also known for, notoriously known for. So as to be forgiving, compassionate, loving, touch that essence in ourselves, so as to reflect that back. This is what this time is about, truly, universally speaking. So therefore, the celebration of Christmas here is a universal celebration of the time of renewal, where we give ourselves license fully to step in greater degree into that what we are already embodying, so as to embody it in fuller measure, that what Christ consciousness represents in each and every one of us. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.